Today we are doing 1-3. This is over the thousandths. This is on page 12 of your math book. But first we are going to review. So remember, I'm going to keep going in my video, but you need to write all of this down as your title page. So go ahead and pause the video now so you can catch up with me and not get behind. Okay, so this is going all the way back to Monday, day 1. So I want you to write 18,345. I want you to write this number into word form. The next thing I want you to do is to write 8 million plus 300 plus 9. I want you to make that expanded form into standard form. Remember, standard is just the normal way you write a number. I want you to take about 2 minutes to work with your table group on these two problems, and we'll come together as a group to answer them. So the first one, you should have written 18,000, put our little comma, 345. And the second one should look like this in standard form, 8,309,000. If you are having trouble with this one, the best way to make it into standard form is to simply add them all up. When you add them all up, you get standard form. All right, next with your table group, I want you to write 9/10ths and 11/100ths as decimals. Go ahead and work on that now. This was from yesterday. If you need to use your place value chart, you can go ahead and use that. So the correct answer would be decimal 9, which stands for 9/10ths, because this is in the 10th spot. And then we would have 11/100ths, because the hundredths is the next spot. Now today we're just talking about the thousandths. But I do want you to try one more review problem for me, which is 6 6/100ths. How do I make that a decimal? 6 6/100ths. Work with your table group. I'll come back in just a minute. Remember, for your answer, you keep that whole number, and then you have to make the fraction a decimal. And so we can't write 6.6 because that would be 6 6/10ths. This is 6 6/100ths, so we would have to do it 0, 6. So here's our new stuff, and it's kind of new stuff. So I'm going to be giving you decimals, and I want you to write them in fraction form. So the very first one I would like you to try, or we'll try this one together, would be if I had the decimal, so remember this is our decimal spot. If I had the decimal and it looked like this, how would I write that into a fraction? How would I create a fraction? Remember, we've already talked about tenths and hundredths, what goes on the bottom. And then today we're talking about the thousandths. So what do you think my denominator is going to be? Yes, my denominator will be 1,000 because we're talking about the thousandth spot. But what is my numerator? My numerator is 3. So 3 over 1,000, or 3 thousandths, would look like this as a decimal. Let's try another one. This is the next one I would like you to write down. 0 and 393 thousandths. So you have to ask yourself two simple questions. If I want to make this into a fraction, what is my denominator? Is it a 10? No, that's not where my number stops. Is it 100? Nope. Is it 1,000? Yes. So I would go ahead and put that over 1,000, or 1,000 would be my denominator. Now my numerator would be what? Well, this whole number up here, 393. So you have 393 parts out of 1,000. You try one on your own, all by yourself. Now this is kind of different because look in the 1 spot, we have a 7. Go ahead and try by yourself quietly to write this as a fraction. And if you don't know, that's all right, but give it your best shot. At least have an answer and a guess, and we will talk together about it as a class. So remember, anything that comes before the decimal is a whole number. So we would just have regular number 7. Then everything back here is the fraction. So we would have to add a fraction on here. And would it be over 10? No. 100? No. 1,000? Yes, because we have 1 and 1,000. So we would have 1,000 as our denominator. What would be our numerator? Well, we have 1 in the thousandth spot. So 1. 7 and 1 1,000th. So now we are going to work backwards. 389 over 1,000. I want you to make this or turn this into a decimal. So the decimal would read 389 thousandths. So where would we even start? In this case, we know that we have no whole number. No whole number. There's no whole number. That means we are not dealing with anything on this side of the chart. It's going to be everything after the decimal. And we are going to write, or we know that it's over 1,000. So since it's over 1,000, we know it's going to end in the thousandth spot because it's thousand, same thing. So we would just fill it in, 389. So when we write our answer down, it would be a decimal, because remember our decimals here, and then it would be 389. And that would be the same as 389 over 1,000, 389 thousandths. So remember, it ends with what you know the denominator is. So this is thousandths, the number ends in thousandths. I want you to try this with your table group. And I will come back in a minute and we will explain it. So what you should have got is, we know it has to end in the thousandth spot because it's over 1,000. So I would write my 90. I'll erase that. I will write my 90 right here because my 90 is my top number, my numerator, and it's ending in the thousands. But I can't leave this blank, so what do I have to put there? A 0. So if I were to write this fraction, 90 over 1,000, it would simply be a decimal point 090, which is 90 thousandths. All right, go ahead and try this one on your own. And it does have a whole number. So my whole number is 3, and then it is 3 and 673 over 1,000. Do it one step at a time. First, work with your whole number, and then work with your fraction. It makes life much easier. Then we will go over it here in just a second. So, you know that anything to the left of your decimal is where our whole number goes. So we have 3 ones because we have a 3. Okay, we are done with that. Easy peasy. Now we know we have 673 thousandths. Where should my number end? What spot? The tenths, hundredths, or thousandths, everyone? The thousandths. So we can just fill it in, 673. So we have 3 and 673 thousandths. Easy peasy, guys. Try these two by yourself. I'll give you about 2 minutes to complete these. I want you to make this number into a fraction and this number into a decimal. Go ahead and start working on that right now. So this first one, if I plug it in my place values chart, it would look like this. So in order to make it into a fraction, I have to see what is my number ending in. It's ending in 1,000, so I know that's my denominator. And my numerator would be what? 23. Well, that was easy. Now this second one, if I want to make it into a fraction, I know it's going to end in the thousandth spot because it's over 1,000. And I have 990 on top. So I can just go ahead and fill that in here. 990 thousandths. So my question for you as a class, which you'll talk to your table partners, is 0.9, which is 9/10, is that the same as 9/100? Why or why not? Go ahead and talk about that, and we'll discuss as a class. And then we can do this together as a class, and I will see you tomorrow.